Hello friends. Now let's we continue the electrostatic and capacitor chapter. Now we are study the electrostatic induction. Now what is the electrostatic induction? Electrostatic induction, it is a process to create or generate a static electricity in material by bridging an electrically charged object nearer to it. Means simply, if I explain you that you see the figure, one metal plate is placed and one plastic rod is rubbed on the metal plate. Then that plastic, then the metal plate will generate a static electricity. And if that metal plate will be goes to any negative charge material, then some electrical spark will be generated. You can there are so many method to produce the electrostatic induction, but one another method that we do in our school life. If suppose you have a piece of cotton, and if you rub that cotton on a plastic, and when you take your hand or any any piece of paper nearer to that place, then that piece of paper or your hair will be attracted on that places. Your hair will be stand up it. So it is the another example is also that at the past time the CRT TV is there. So when the person will near to goes to near to the CRT screen, then the hair will be stand up it, and it will be attracted on the TV screen. So it is the one example of the electrostatic induction. So it is the process to create the positive charge and negative charge. If suppose the negative charge material is rubbed it on, then the positive and negative charge is produced. So this is the electrostatic induction. You can also explaining another method to produce the electrostatic induction. See, this is the diagram. Two spherical metal are placed it, and if there are the two spiral A and B which are mounted on an insulating stand, if one piece of negatively charged material or the piece of cotton, if you rubbed it on the, suppose if I rub that piece of material on the A spherical, then it will be create the positive charge, and that force of potential will be goes to the negatively charged in B. Now if you separate it, then the A is become positively charged and B is become a negatively charged. And this method is used to test a high voltage. It is used in the high voltage testing. We know when you goes to the testing for testing for a transformer, then one test is called a high voltage test or the impulsion test. So at that time they gives a higher voltage. So that higher voltage is generated using this electrostatic induction. One device is very popular devices, which is a good example of a electrostatic induction. The device is called a Van de Graaff generator. Look at this. This is the Van de Graaff generator. It is very popular devices for testing any device, any electrical devices on the basis of high voltage. If you test a device for a high voltage, then this Van de Graaff generator is used. Look at this its structure. It has a pressure tank, charge remover point, charge conveyor, spray point, controllable spray voltage, driving motors, ground, accelerator tubes, positive ion sources, and high voltage terminal. The main parts is that the conveyor belt, motor, controllable spray voltages, and positive ion sources. These are the main part of a Van de Graaff generator. It is a, if I gives you this simple explanation, because It is the very higher higher level, higher level subject, because this device is used in a high voltage HVDC subject at the time of degree. So this is the pressure tank. When the motor is running, the belt conveyor is rubbed on the removable charge. So the positive charge is generated on the conveyor belt, and it will be spreaded on the to the pressure tank. So the high voltage will be generated. The explanation of this is here. Motor, to roller, belt, to brush the assembly, and the output terminal. When the motor is turned on, the lower roller being turning the belt. Since the belt is made or a rubber, and the lower roller is covered in the silicon tab. The main purpose is the roller is rubbed on the any negatively charged material. Mainly, previously I explaining that the one negatively charged material is rubbed on any metal, then the positive charge is produced. So this purpose is rubbed using the motor, and motor is when the motor is rotated, the belt conveyor is rubbed on the rubber. So the positive charge is produced on the belt conveyor, and it will be transfer the energy from the positive charge to the negatively charged material. So this is the one of the good example of a electrostatic induction. Now another topic is electric field, electric flux. Most probably electric flux is considering magnetic field or the magnetic flux. This is the best example to understanding the electric flux. But here you see the two figure. Flux is nothing but it is the line of force. Flux is nothing but it is the line of force. We cannot see the line of force, but we can imagine that here the line of force. Electrical flux, it is the property of the electrical field. There are so many number of electric line force. That line of force we call the electric field. And you see the figure, there are the two figure. One figure indicate the maximum electric flux, and another is a zero electric flux. See, flux lines is there, but if some material is put on perpendicular that electric lines, then that material cuts the maximum flux. And if the material places the parallel to that flux, then it will cut the zero flux. It will cut the zero flux. So when it is the subjected that the electric field cuts per area, that is called a flux. Electric field intensity, or the E, that is considering in E. So the E is surrounded per unit area. E is surrounded from this flux lines is put on the surrounded on that material. So this is called a electric flux. We can define this electric flux in you see that production of electric field and surface area. You can see that flux is equals to E into A. The unit of that flux, it is the Newton meter square per coulomb. Newton meter square per coulomb. So the electric flux is proportional to the number of electric flux line. You see that this is the area, and the flux line is passing, or the electric field is passing to that area. This is called a electric field per area, that is called your electric flux. We can also define this electric flux using Gauss's law. Now Now another main topic is the flux density. You know the meaning of density. If you are in a, if I explaining density, one simple example, what is the density? Suppose I have a cup of water and another cup of water has a oil. If suppose I pour the water on the ground, then water will be spreaded or propagated. Okay. Now another side, I pour the oil in the on the ground, then it will also propagate it. But the water is propagated more compared to oil. Means it will cover the more area compared to oil, and vice versa. I can also say I can also say that the oil cover the less area compared to the water, because the propagation area is less compared to the water. So what is that meaning? Because the oil has a more density compared to the water. Means density is that how much area is covered by gas or oil, anything else. Now, on the basis of that example, we are understand what is the flux density. Flux density means what? How much area covered by the flux. How much area covered by the flux. And it is measured on the strength of electrical field generated by the free electric charge. Here, this is the three definition of electric flux density. Whatever the definition you can choose, but I can choose the second, that is it is the amount of flux passing through the definite area, and that is perpendicular to the direction of flux. The amount of flux is passing through the defined area. You can also flux density, that is the flux is passing through the perpendicular that area. So if we take a mathematical expression, here it is a mathematical expression. The flux density, the unit of flux density is coulomb per meter square, and C, that is the D, it is your flux density. So it is defined as Q equals to 4 pi r square into AR. AR means it is your area. So the charge per area divided by 4 pi r square. Look, magnitude, the number of lines of Coulomb crossing surface to the normal line divided by the surface area. So the point charge, so the generally we can say that D equals to Q into area divided by 4 pi r square. And the density is also, you can define that epsilon 0 into A into E. Epsilon 0 into A, which is epsilon 0, it is a absolute permittivity, and E is your electric field, that is E equals to electric field. And we know that electric field E equals to F divided by Q, force per unit positive charge, and force is equals to Q1 Q2 divided by 4 pi r square. Okay, so this is the electric field flux density. Now another topic is a electric field intensity. Now what is the intensity? Intensity, it is the capability of that field. Electric field intensity means it is a point inside the electrical field of a charge is force experienced by the unit positive charge placed at that one point. Look, in the magnetic field, electric field intensity defined in H. Intensity means how it is a stronger compared to the another field intensity. So this is called a electric field intensity. we can explaining in using a mathematical equation. Here it is E equals to F divided by Q. Q, it is your unit per charge. If you if I say that Q equal to unit per charge, then E equals to F, and we know that using the Coulomb's law, F equals to Q divided by 4 pi epsilon d of square. So put on that equation on E. Put on equation on E. So it is a Q equals to 4 pi epsilon 0 epsilon d square, and we know that the epsilon is your permittivity, and there are the two permittivity, relative permittivity and absolute permittivity. So put these two permittivity on epsilon. So the whole equation is that intensity E equals to Q upon 4 pi epsilon 0 epsilon r d of square. It is the d of square. Now the main topic of this chapter is capacitor. You see, there are the so many capacitor. Just wait, I make some another setting. Here it is the full things. You see, there are the so many capacitors. This capacitors is used in our fan. These capacitors are used in electronic devices. This is the SMD capacitors, the surface mounted ceramic capacitors. These are the ceramic capacitors, mica capacitors. There are the so many, lots of capacitors are there, and we can see the capacitor in different devices like mobile charger, rectifier, fan. There are so many devices where the capacitors are used. But how the capacitor is made? What is the basic material or what is the basic method to made the capacitor? Now, we first of all we know what is the structure of capacitor and how the capacitor is made. Look, capacitor is nothing that but two plate, two conducting plate. Even though you can also use a aluminum foil or any conducting foil. Two aluminum foil is placed at one point, and that foil or metal will be not touched to each other. Will be not touched. It has some place, some space. So two identical, two conducting plate which are not connected to each other, and if you give a electrical potential, then it will store the charge. It will store the charge, and between this space you can put a dielectric material, air, gas, or any solid materials. But material should be dielectric, not conducting. Material should be dielectric. Look this is the space. So you can place a dielectric material between this empty space. So this is the two conducting plates, and between this conducting plate a dielectric material is placed, and when you give the supply or give the potential difference, then a positive and negative both charge will be stored on this plate. I will give you example, but before that you remember that unit of capacitor is farad. Unit of capacitor is farad. Whenever you go to the market and buy a capacitor, then you cannot say that please give me a capacitor. You should define its farad value. You should define its farad value. Means you want to this much amount of farad capacitor. Today microfarad, millifarad or farad, whatever your choice or whatever value that you define it. So this kind of a capacitor is made. So the first of all, the structure of capacitor is two conducting plates, and that conducting plates will not connect. So the dielectric material is placed between these two conducting plate, and whenever you give the potential difference, then it will store the charge. I explaining you another way that, look at this. This is the two conducting plates, and the dielectric material is placed between these two conducting plates. And whenever you give the electrical field, I mean electrical supply, then you see that positive polarity, the plate on the positive polarity and the plate is on the negative, attached with the negative polarity. So the positive polarity, the whatever the plate it connected with a positive polarity, then it will charge the positive polarity, and the plate which is connected to the negative polarity, then it will store a negative charge. So the basically capacitor working is to store the charge. Basic material, it is a basic function is to store the charge. Here it is a symbol of the capacitor. Different symbol, but most probably two symbols are used. First is this symbol, and second it is this symbol. This symbol capacitor is called the polarized capacitor, and this symbol it is used for the fixed capacitor, just like the ceramic capacitors. And this capacitor, both the capacitor has a value, but this capacitor has no any kind of polarity. You can shoulder that capacitor anyway, but this capacitor has a polarity. So you should determine its polarity, and then you shoulder it on a circuit. So this is the one basic fundamentals of a capacitor. Here a manufacturing. Here this is the manufacturing of the capacitor. Look, this is the two leads which is extracted, one cathode foil, then after one separator paper, then after anode foil, and another also separator. Look, cathode foil and anode foil both are the different materials. Different materials. Whatever the materials are considered in cathode and whatever the materials are considered in anode, that foil you attach with a separator. You can use insulating paper as a separator. You can also use the both same paper. The capacitor will be working, but if you want to get a more good result, then you have to discriminate the piece of paper. So the first of all, the cathode foil, then after a separator, means a piece of insulating paper, then after put another foil and get a separator. Okay, and extracted two terminal from that cathode to anode foil. This is comes from the cathode foil, and this is comes from the anode foil, and between these two a separator is surrounded or that foil. So this is the simple method to make a capacitor. You can use wax, gas, oil instead of this separator paper. Separator paper is nothing else but it is an insulating paper. Instead of using insulating paper, you use a wax, you can use oil, or you can use any kind of gas, depends upon your applications. So this is the basic manufacturing purpose of the now let's see that the capacitance, you know the resistance, you already study about the resistance. What is the meaning of the resistance? R is defined as the resistance. So resistance is used to know how much energy is released. and depends upon its resistance, and resistance is also defined as a ohm. But in the capacitance, what is the meaning of capacitance? Look, purpose of capacitor is store the charge. Now, how much capacitor store the charge, that can be know using a amount of capacitance, or we can another way say that the capacitor's ability of capacitor to store the charge between the plates, that ability can be defined using a capacitor. Capacitance means capacitance gives us this data, that a capacitance means how much amount of store is charged. So the charging of capacitor, you see the equation, that is Q equals to C into V. Means whatever whatever the amount of voltage is applied between these two plates, so the ability of the capacitor, that how much amount of electric charge is stored when we apply the voltage. So capacitance is always positive, also in negative, positive negative both. Here I gives you some, that is the Q equal to C into V. If you want to see the capacitance value, it is a Q divided by V. Q is measured in coulomb and V measured in volt, and C is it is in farad. So capacitance, in short, capacitance is used to know how much amount of charge is stored, or what is the capability of a capacitor to store the charge. That can know by the capacitance. Okay. So this is the capacitance. Now another topic is a dielectric constant. Look, dielectric constant is the property of electrical insulating material that the capacitor is fielded on between these two plates. Look, I already explaining that the relative permittivity, and relative permittivity depends upon a dielectric materials. So dielectric constant means what? Whatever the dielectric material is fielded between the capacitor, and when the dielectric constant is increases, the flux density is also increases. So if the material, if the dielectric material is used very much, then it will affect the charging of capacitor. Now, what is the effect of charging or stored the energy using this electric constant? Means how the electric constant is affect the charging of a capacitance. Look, you can see that is the C equal to Q upon V. Here it is epsilon. Epsilon is your permittivity, dielectric permittivity, that is the either in relative or whatever the permittivity that we are using. So if you using the air, the dielectric material measure is given by permittivity. Measures of dielectric material is given by permittivity, that is the epsilon, and or it is also called a dielectric constant. Epsilon, you can also define that dielectric constant is your epsilon. So the epsilon is A divided by D. A divided by D. A, it is your area of that dielectric material, and D, it is a distance between two plates, and epsilon is your permittivity. So if you C equal to Q upon V, so place that thing, that is epsilon 0 epsilon R A divided by D. If air is using, then only epsilon 0 is considered, because epsilon R is always 1 for the air. But if you use a solid dielectric material, then the equation is become epsilon 0 epsilon R into A. So now let's we start. What is, there are so many types of the capacitor. Next we study the types of capacitor. There are so many type of capacitor. The ceramic type capacitor, monolithic capacitor, wax type capacitor, axial type capacitor. But this type of capacitors depends upon the which kind of dielectric material you used, or which kind of conducting and dielectric material you are using for to completing your purpose. But most probably these are the polar capacitor which has a polarity, non-polar capacitor which has no any kind of polarity, and variable capacitor means you can vary the stored charging or stored energy between that capacitor. Look at this is the some example of polar capacitor, non-polar capacitor, and variable capacitor. But mainly the is type is dielectric capacitor. I just take some time. Is look, dielectric capacitor, film capacitor type, radial lead type capacitor, axial type capacitor, ceramic capacitor, and electrolyte capacitor. Look, these are the dielectric material or the structure of the plates and the dielectric material placing between these two plates. So the dielectric capacitor, film capacitor type, radial type capacitor, axial type, ceramic type capacitor, electrolytic in electrolytic capacitor, that is the using wax or oil, whatever the dielectric material is between these two plates. I see the example, some example. Look, this is the radial capacitor, the dielectric layer, then conducting plate, dielectric, then after another plate, another dielectric material, and extracting these two wire. This is the radial because the wire is taken in the radial direction. This is the axial lead type. This is the axial lead type. The lead is taken from the axial side, and this is your ceramic type capacitor. This capacitor normally you can see in our mobile charger or any rectifying circuit. You can you also see this in our electronic board or etc. Now another topic is effect of capacitor when it is connected in series, either in parallel. Look, there are the different effect when you are connected in capacitor in series and capacitor in parallel. That can understand using this example. Look, this is the capacitor which is connected in series. So when the capacitor is connected in series, then calculating the total capacitance, you see the example, that is 1 upon C total is equals to 1 upon C1 plus 1 upon C2 up to 1 upon C of n minus 1. Means this same as when the resistance is connected in parallel. When the resistance is connected in parallel, then you use, that is 1 upon R total is equals to 1 upon R1 plus 1 upon R2 up to 1 upon of R of n. But opposite side, this equation applied in capacitor. When the capacitor is connected in series, then you cannot use the C1 plus C2 plus C3 as such as resistor, but you use a parallel equation used in resistance. So when the capacitor is connected in series, then the total capacitance is 1 upon divided by 1 upon C1 plus 1 upon C2 plus 1 upon C3 up to 1 upon C of n, when the capacitor is connected in series. Now another example, we just understand this effect in, look, this is the capacitor C1, C2, C3. When it is connected in series, then you see that the every capacitor has its own value, 10 Faraday, 10 Faraday, 30 Faraday. then 1 upon 10, 1 upon 10, 1 upon 30. So the total is 0.23023 Faraday, but it is 1 upon C. So if you take an inverse, then it is 4.35 Farad. This is the simple example to know how the capacitor is, what is the effect of capacitor when it is connected in series. Now, take some time because now when the capacitor is connected in parallel, see the capacitor is connected in parallel, so simply it is such as resistance is connected in series, that is R1 plus R2 plus R3, but when the capacitor is connected in parallel, then the total capacitance you can calculate, that is C1 plus C2 up to C of n. C1 plus C2 plus C3. When the capacitor is connected in parallel, please don't mix the resistance equations and parallel equations because both are opposite to each other. When the capacitor is connected in series, you use a parallel resistance equation. When the capacitor is connected in parallel, then you use a series equation. C1 plus C2 plus C3. Okay, so don't be confused about these two topic. We we understand these things by using the example. See, the three capacitors are connected in parallel, 0.1, 0.2 and 0.3. When you sum this all the capacitors, 0.1 plus 0.2 it is 0.3 and 0.3 plus 0.3 it is 0.6 microfarad. Okay, so this is the simply example to understand when the capacitor is connected in parallel. Now this is the summary. When the capacitor is connected in parallel, you use C1, C2, C3 to C of n. When the capacitor is connected in parallel, you see that is 1 upon C1 plus 1 upon C2 plus 1. Just remembering these things. It is not so much hard thing, but whenever you do some practice or you do some solve the problems, then it will be helpful. Then it is very easy to remember. It is not necessary to mug up every equation, but you should understand, and then you solve the example, so it is very easy to remember the equation. Now another topic is energy stored in capacitor. The stored energy, the energy is stored in the capacitor. Look at this is the equation, that is 1 half CV square. 1 half CV square. It is the equation of energy stored in the capacitor. We know that the capacitor can store the energy, but energy can be defined, or the unit of energy is in watt, W. So how can we calculate? So the equation is 1 half CV square. Here it is the explanation. You know that the power P equal to V into I. V into I. So the capacitor is, if we take a voltage, then it is a dV by dt, V into dV by dt, because it is a current. So the potential, when you take the potential difference, that is C equal to V into dV by dt. So that if you take the integration using that infinity to t, then it will become a 1 half CV square. 1 half CV square. There are also some equations that is used to find out the energy of equation. Look at this, q into 1 half cv square 1 upon epsilon 0 a into e square into d. These are the equations to find out the stored energy of a capacitor. Now the last topic of this chapter is RC charging time constant. Look, capacitor is used to store the energy, that we know, but how it works, that can understand easily using this charging RC time constant, RC circuit. Look, when you close the switch, then the current is flow capacitor and the circuit will be closed, so the capacitor will be stored the charge. So the charging of a voltage of the capacitor is goes from the in the hyperbola manner. This is called a charging time, when the capacitor stored the energy or capacitor stored the charge on this manner. It will be increasing and then after it will be saturated. It will be saturated, after it will not store the charge. Whatever the time will be increases, capacitor will be not store the charge on this time. But when you open the switch, whenever you open the switch, you see the manner of discharging is just like that. It will be decreases on this manner. It will be decreases on this manner. Means when you open the switch, the voltage will be not become a zero. It will goes to the zero on this hyperbola manner. Whenever the time is increases, the voltage, the charging will be decreases. You see, I see you. This is the capacitor. This is a time constant, and at the discharging time, when you open the switch, the voltage will be decreases. The charge will be decreases whenever the time is increases. So this is the discharging time. This is called a discharging time. So you can define the RC time constant. This is tau, not T. You can also take a T instead of tau. The T equal to R into C. R is resistance value and C is the capacitor's value in Faraday and in Ohm. And the voltage across the capacitor at the RC time constant, Vs equal to 1 minus e raised to minus t upon R into C. This equation used in network theorem at the when you solve the example of transient equation, then this equation is used, that is Vs into 1 minus e raised to minus t upon R into C. This is the one example. This is the one example of RC constant time constant, and it is here. So hope you guys understand the electrostatic and the capacitor. If you have any problem, then you mail me, or any suggestions for this chapter, then you can also mail me. Thank you.